Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Catholic Citizen. I am your host, Peter Range, and I'm so excited to be with you live right now, coming from AWAKEN Catholic for this episode number 25, where we're talking about some big things here, including the LGBT flag. We're going to be talking about critical race theory, President Biden, and so much more in just 1 minute. No, really, just in 1 minute. It's coming up because there's going to be a I told you there was going to be a promo that plays, hey, this is live, folks. This isn't easy to do. You think I get paid the amount of money I do for doing this show because it's easy? I don't get paid anything. With that being said, maybe we can pay me something if you support our sponsors, including AWAKEN Catholic. Folks, this is fantastic. I love being a part of the AWAKEN Nation, the AWAKEN Catholic community, and you can too. Please go to awakencatholic.com/donate today. Become a part of this community. Help us out. Spread the truth with beauty, with mercy, and with love. Secondly, if you want to kind of engage with our new app, it's a fantastic app. Still working out some of the kinks, but there's, I think, over 500 people a part of the app now. And it's just nice to know that there's people that you can trust, that you can share life with. And unlike Facebook and Twitter, which can get quite just disgusting at times, you're not going to experience that at the AWAKEN Catholic app. So please join us with that. Lastly, we can't do a show here, the Catholic Citizen, without highlighting one of my favorite groups ever. That is Casa Bea Cleaning. And I'm sure in just a moment, we'll get Casa Bea's info up because we need to have Casa Bea's info up because we want you to patron them. They're a pro-life organization and group that can clean your house, your place of work, whatever it may be. And they're just amazing people. And quite frankly, I love Casa Bea. And our little graphic is not up. Oh, it's over here. Our little graphic is not up. But I want you to imagine that there's a Casa Bea infographic up right now. Again, folks, the show's live. I showed up at like 9:26 and we just came up live. But anyway, with that being said, if you've watched AWAKEN Catholic, you know that AWAKEN Catholic server was actually attacked. And a lot of our graphics and things of that nature were actually I can't remember what the term is, but they were like hijacked and we had to pay money, but we're not going to pay money to get them back because we can do it without you. So you people who hijack our stuff. Anyway. All right, let's get to the show. What do you say? So much to go over, in a week's time. I mean, so much news happens. And some of this I can't even comment on. I'm just going to read you exactly kind of what's going on because I don't even know what to say about some of this news. And I always want to end the show with hope, and maybe I'll find something to end the show with hope at the end of the show. But with that being said, let me just start with, first and foremost, the border crisis, something that's been ignored by President Biden, and for obvious reasons from a political perspective. You don't want to necessarily, focus on something which looks like you're doing a bad job. But Vice President Kamala Harris, she was put in charge of actually handling the border crisis. She still has not been to the border, which is disturbing in and of itself. I mean, if you're handling the crisis, but you haven't actually been to where the crisis is taking place, there's something to be said for that. But I was just shocked the other day. There's a Reuters photo that went out that showed all the things that the young migrant children who are coming across the border. Again, I think last show we reported is around 19,000 unaccompanied minors coming across the border. Well, one of the things that they're getting besides book bags and things, which I'm really happy that they're getting, because we want to be a compassionate nation. And we got kids coming across the border, and let's find a way that we can care for them, and then kind of, go through whatever process we need to. But one of the things that they're getting is a copy of the vice president's book, Superheroes Are Everywhere. So while the vice president herself hasn't been there, thank goodness that the kids on the border are getting copies of her book. All right. Secondly, speaking of this administration, when it comes to the right to life, we've pointed out concretely. And folks, elections have consequences. And a lot of, even my pro-life Catholic friends are like, I just can't vote for President Trump because, of the way that he talks about people, so on and so forth. Okay. You couldn't, in your conscience, the way that it was formed, vote for President Trump. But how, with our conscience, can we vote for the most pro-abortion president in United States history? And it's not like he hid this before the election. He said he was for abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy. He said before the election that he wanted to codify Roe v. Wade. So here are 9 quick ways that President Biden is showing that he is the most pro-abortion president in history. Number 1, he reversed the Mexico City policy. Number 2, during the COVID relief bill, he signed a bill ignoring the Hyde Amendment. Number 3, he's working to reverse Title X funds, so more money will now flood into the coffers of Planned Parenthood. Number 4, coinciding with President Biden's 100th day in office, the Family Research Council is releasing a new resource tracking the Biden administration when it comes to where is the money going from the administration. And get this, Biden has made at least $479.9 billion available. $479.9 billion available that can subsidize abortion and abortion business. That is more than 19 times the level of President Obama. Number 5, supports the Equality Act, which would codify Roe v. Wade. It would make pregnancy a disease that needs to be treated and can be treated by abortion. Number 6, the FDA has just approved telemedicine abortion under President Biden. That means a woman can just call into a doctor and get the abortion pill sent to her over in the mail during the pandemic. Number 7, the National Institute of Health has just announced that, and we covered this in, I think, last week's show as well, that they are going to traffic aborted baby body parts so they can do testing on them. So they're going to buy them from the abortion businesses so they can humanize mice and they can test on all these livers and thymuses and so on and so forth that they're getting from these aborted children. I mean, are you kidding me? This is a Catholic president, folks. Number 8, the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken. We've covered this in another show as well. He's declared that abortion is a human right, access to it, a human right, and that the Secretary of State is going to take individuals from the State Department and they're going to cover whether or not different countries are promoting this human right or not. Number 9, you probably don't hear about this in the news as well, but one of the things that under President Trump, under Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, they signed on to the Geneva Consensus Declaration. Now, the Geneva Consensus Declaration said that, quote, in no case should abortion be promoted as a method of family planning, to uphold the reality that, quote, all are equal before the law. President Biden comes in office. We're done with that. Signs off of it. Lets everybody know around the world we no longer believe so. Friends, 9 quick ways where the Biden administration very clearly not pro-life, in fact, pro-abortion in so many different ways. So next time you come to vote in 2022 and 2024, please take some time to really pray and research on an intrinsic evil, whether you can support a candidate that supports an intrinsic evil, such as abortion. All right. Speaking of the Biden administration, continuing on down the road, the LGBT flag, it's now going to be flying at U.S. embassies across the globe. Secretary of State Antony Blinken again sent a directive authorizing U.S. outposts to fly, quote, the LGBT pride flag on the same flagpole as the U.S. flag starting in May. Under U.S. law, embassies and other official outposts must be granted permission by the State Department before posting any banners other than the American flag on the flagstaffs outside their offices. Now, look, you support LGBTQ rights, so on and so forth. That's a political position that you have in the nation. All right, that's fine. But why is our government, rather than just flying the American flag, now promoting flying this political flag? Because that's what it's become. Whether or not you agree or disagree or whatever, I mean, it represents a political movement. And we're taking sides of a political movement as a U.S. government, completely ignoring the fact that there are millions of people in this country that don't happen to believe that, boys can be girls and girls can be boys and so on and so forth. What this flag has come to represent. But that's what we're supporting now around the globe. Do we forget that before the Obergefell decision of the Supreme Court, 37 states had voted to say that marriage was between a male and a female. But yet we've just embraced this ideology. We've embraced this particular worldview and point of view, which, again, I'm not telling people that they can't have this point of view. I'm not telling people they can't work at a place of business where they get same-sex benefits, all those things. They want to go to a church that they can get married at that church as same-sex couples. Look, I'm not telling people that they can't do that. But why are we as a U.S. government promoting a particular ideology on our flagpoles around the world? Think about in countries like Africa, for example, a little bit more conservative on these marriage issues. The United States is sending a very clear message. Look, you support this or you're not going to get our aid, because that's exactly what our country does. Our country does this through our own personal aid, and it does it through the United Nations. We say if you don't support the social issues that we support, you're not going to get aid. That's how the UN, the United States, has pushed abortion across the globe through this kind of backhanded pressure. All right. Speaking of things going haywire here, the Vatican Conference is to focus on a mind, body, soul connection to healthcare. This is a May 6th through 8th event where Dr. Anthony Fauci, Chelsea Clinton, and the CEOs of pharmaceutical manufacturers, Moderna and Pfizer, which created the leading COVID-19 vaccines, will be among the featured speakers at a healthcare conference next month, co-hosted by the Vatican's Pontifical Council for Culture. All right. So this conference is titled Exploring the Mind, Body, and Soul, How Innovation and Novel Delivery Systems Improve Human Health. Fair enough. Co-sponsored by the Cura Foundation. We know that the Vatican has said that the vaccines are morally illicit. I don't know if we want to be promoting them necessarily as a church. I think we need to be supporting a little bit those who, through their conscience, have formed and said, I don't want to support these necessarily. But with that being said, they've invited some health experts and leaders from around the world. Fair enough. However, some of the people that are also at the conference are Chelsea Clinton, a abortion rights supporter. She holds a master's in public health, but said that it's unchristian to ban legalized abortion. These are one of the individuals who will be speaking. And I guess we're promoting YB Catholic on the show real quick. I don't know what's going on here. Nick De La Torre, he's all about promoting himself. He won't just let me have a show, for goodness sakes. Anyway, who else is going to be there? It's okay, Nick. We still love you. New Age guru Deepak Chopra is going to be there. He once said that the DNA in our bodies is actually studying us. Who else is going to be there? Dame Jane Goodall, the world famous conservationist and chimpanzee. Why do we have AWAKEN? Why are we promoting this? I'm doing a show here. Can we get that off the screen, please? I didn't know it was on the screen. So sorry. It's YB Catholic, which is great. You should come. Bishop Thomas and Jason Everett are going to be there. But this is serious stuff. We got to focus on this.
Oh, it's not on the live stream. You're the one seeing it.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're not seeing it, folks, I'm seeing it on my screen, whatever. I apologize. Maybe it look like I'm going nuts. Anyway, Dame Jane Goodall, the world famous conservationist and chimpanzee expert, but also an ardent population control advocate who said last year the world's population should reduce to what it was 500 years ago. So look, folks, I'm all for dialogue and talking about issues and discussing from different points of view. But my goodness, do not give people a platform who believe things that are antithetical to the Catholic faith, that believe in intrinsic evils. What in the world is happening at the Vatican? That the Vatican would host a conference, and the picture that they have to promote this conference is gloves over Michelangelo's beautiful picture of God reaching out to Adam. I mean, sacrilegious to me. But this is happening at the Vatican. Somebody explain this to me, please. If you're a faithful Catholic and you're like, just calm down, Pete. It's no big deal that Deepak Chopra and Dame Jane Goodall, who believes in population control, and Chelsea Clinton, who believes that it's unchristian to ban legalized abortion, is speaking at the Vatican Conference. Oh, so frustrating. All right. Speaking of frustrating, critical race theory. Now, you may not have heard of critical race theory. If you haven't, you need to. Please spend some time. We're going to put up a link. There's a great article from Hillsdale talking and explaining what critical race theory and its foundation in Marxism, basically. But this is an academic discipline. formulated in the 1990s, built on the intellectual framework of identity-based Marxism. It's relegated for many years to universities and obscure academic journals. Over the past decade, though, it's become increasingly the default ideology in our public institutions. It has been injected into government agencies, public school systems, teacher training programs, corporate human resource departments in the form of diversity training programs, human resource modules, public policy frameworks, and school curricula. But here it is in practice, okay? And the article that we list in Imprimis from Hillsdale College, it kind of goes over some of these examples. But the author says he's got thousands of different examples. But here are some of the ways that this plays out. In Cupertino, California, an elementary school forced first graders to deconstruct their racial and sexual identities and rank themselves according to their power and privilege. First graders in California being asked to deconstruct how their race and their sex has made them powerful or privileged. In Springfield, Missouri, a middle school forced teachers to locate themselves as on an oppression matrix based upon that straight, white, English-speaking Christian males are members of the oppressor class and must atone for their privilege and covert white supremacy. In Philadelphia, an elementary school forced fifth graders to celebrate Black communism and simulate a Black power rally to free 1960s radical Angela Davis from prison, where she had once been held on the charges of murder. And in Seattle, the school district told white teachers that they are guilty of spirit murder against Black children and must bankrupt their privilege in acknowledgement of their thieved inheritance. Now, this is genius as far as from the left perspective, because immediately when you deny these absolutely crazy realities that they're pushing on our school kids, when you deny that these things aren't true, then you're just showing your white privilege by doing so. All right, so this is critical race theory. Senator Tim Scott, who spoke after President Biden's address to the nation the other night, said during his rebuttal speech address to Congress, he spoke out against critical race theory. Now, Tim Scott, mind you, he's Black, he's African-American. Now he's being shouted out as Uncle Tom and so on and so forth because he's speaking out against critical race theory. Folks, check out the color of his skin. He's Black and he's speaking out against it. But he said, quote, "Today kids are being taught that the color of their skin defines them again. And if they look a certain way, they're an oppressor," Scott told the nation. He said, quote, "From colleges, corporations to our culture, people are making money and gaining power by pretending we haven't made any progress at all. By doubling down on divisions we've worked so hard to heal." You know this stuff is wrong, the Republican asserted. Quote, "Hear me clearly. America is not a racist country. It's backwards to fight discrimination with different types of discrimination. And it's wrong to try to use our painful past to dishonestly shut down debates in the present." Okay, Scott is clear, and he said he's experienced it himself. There are certainly racist individuals in this country. There's certainly racism that people encounter. However, America is not a racist country. So thankfully, some states, like in Idaho, actually just became the first state in the nation to ban critical race theory indoctrination in public schools. Governor Brad Little signed the bill into law, which will prohibit schools from promoting race essentialism, collective guilt, and neo-segregation. Certainly a historic win. Folks, that's the news for the week. It's tough. It's challenging. I mean, we're engaged in a battle for our nation in so many different ways, fighting for a culture of life. And our work is certainly cut out against us when we have an administration which is so completely anti-life. Nick is holding up a sign to me. I can't read it because it's so small. So I'm going to ask Nick to come in. This is breaking news, I think we have here on the show, Catholic Citizen. I'm ready to go, but Nick wants me to mention an event, always promoting his events. No, I'm just kidding. This is an event that I'm also promoting. There's a couple things coming up in May that we want you to be aware of, which are just, I'm excited about them. So first, we have the AWAKEN Catholic event that's coming up May 21st. That's on the screen now. I hope and I think that was what was showing up before. And I was like freaking out that was on the show. But it's going to be fantastic to appreciate how to approach things in the public square. We need to help people into the Catholic Church. The Catholic perspective on these things will help people form holistically and be able to approach these issues from a fundamental Christian perspective, which will help just make our culture and society better. So why be Catholic? May 21st, you can get your tickets at awakencatholic.org. Secondly, then, the very next day, May 22nd, Sex, Love, and Porn. Fighting the war against lust and pornography is going to be held at St. Aloysius Church in BG at 1:30. Encourage you to come down with that. My office, the Office for Life and Justice, is co-sponsoring that. It's going to be a great event. We know pornography is ruining marriages. We know that people have a misguided understanding, appreciation about what sex is all about. And let's be honest, sex is something that's very public, but it's not very communal. We don't really talk about it much as a culture, particularly from the Christian perspective, and we need to. Folks, sex is the foundation of relationships. Sex is the foundation of marriage. Okay, the fact that we have a complementary gift between husband and wife come together in a union which creates new life. And there used to be an iron triangle with Jonathan Glass called the iron triangle, which kept sex, marriage, and baby making together. But with the breakdown of that iron triangle, you had the breakdown of the family, because you had sex. You can have sex outside of wedlock. You have kids outside of wedlock. No big deal, right? Well, the poverty rate of children without the father in the home is 47.6%. That's over 4 times the poverty rate of families that have both the mom and the dad in the home. It matters that the dad is in the home. And all this begins back with, how do we approach sex? How do we approach sex? Because if you're just having sex with anybody, it doesn't matter. The reality is that you're probably going to end up getting pregnant, because when you have sex, that's what happens. You get pregnant. So we got to talk about these issues. Invite you to May 22nd, Sex, Love, and Porn, awakencatholic.org again for those tickets. Lastly, I'd be remiss to announce that on May 27th, we don't have a graphic for this, but Kristen Hawkins is coming into town. She's the president of Students for Life of America. She's going to speak at our Friends for Life first ever banquet we're doing, because we want to put a pro-life group in high school, in every high school, grade school, middle school in the diocese. Okay, all through all 19 counties, we want pro-life groups specifically targeted towards the young. I want to raise an army of young people to fight for life, to fight for goodness, truth, and beauty and marriage, to fight for the Catholic faith. So would you join me in that cause? You can go to friendsforlife.eventbrite.com today to buy your ticket, or maybe consider donating. Thank you so much. That's a way to end this show on hope, is that I'm not giving up, and I'm going to form an army with God's help. An army that's going to fight for truth, for justice, and for love in the public square. Please join me next week as we continue to do just that right here on The Catholic Citizen.
This show and all media on Awaken Catholic is made possible by the Awaken Nation and the Hallow app. The Awaken Nation is a community of people like you who support all things Awaken for as cheap as a cup of coffee a week and get access to exclusive content. Learn more by visiting awakencatholic.org/donate. Hallow is the only audio-guided Catholic prayer app focused on contemplative prayer and traditional Catholic meditation such as Lectio Divina, Daily Examen, and the Rosary. We here at Awaken all use Hallow every day and love it. To learn more or give it a try, visit hallow.app/awaken.